What's up? The Game Impulse here to talk about our top 5 PlayStation and PlayStation 2 games ever. Yeah. Now, I know these games are old, but they're classics, and we just wanted to do this for our own joy because we know nobody's going to watch this. But anyways, let's start at number 5. Sam, you can start.
My number 5 is actually a game that I got enjoyment out of.
I didn't know it was a game. Sorry.
I am a person. I don't have feelings. But my number 5 game is a game that, like, not many people will get enjoyment out of. It overall is a pretty crappy game, but I found some fun in it. The game Black Hawk Down, the video game. It's one of the worst games. Like, the graphics were so bad compared to anything that comes out nowadays. It just looks so bad, and there's like nothing to the game. You just run around like the same levels, just like shooting people and stuff. But somehow, over a summer where apparently I had like 2 weeks of nothing to do, somehow I found enjoyment out of this game, and it holds a special spot in my heart. It's one of those games like, over the summer, you know, you don't have school, you stay up until like 3 in the morning playing it for God knows why, but, you know, it's just, I found enjoyment out of it.
Did you fucking fart?
That was me. Yeah, my number 5 is The Suffer.
Wow.
God damn. But, so, yeah, the first one, because I've never played the second one, but it's an interesting game, because, it was Left 4 Dead before Left 4 Dead came out. It's kind of the same concept. You're this guy who's in prison for whatever reason, I think for killing his wife and his son.
He didn't really do it.
Depending on what ending of the game you get. Because there's different endings. You get different endings, and it's really cool because there's different, like, creatures that are kind of like zombies that you can fight, and you can transform into this monster in which you can tear people apart then at which point. Well, and like I kind of alluded to when I was talking to Sam, there's 2 endings, you know, because you can choose like you run into people, you can choose to kill them, you can choose to save them, and then it's all choice driven, and I mean, it was one of the first horror games that I really got into, so, yeah.
So my number 5 was Medal of Honor Rising Sun. I know this isn't like the greatest game ever made, but I had endless hours of endless fun shooting Japanese bots in the face in multiplayer with a well-rod pistol, because it was one-shot kill. You could just fuck anything up, and, you know, you were always better than them. I just remember being, like, queer with my friends, and we would just play, like, a multiplayer match that was, like, an hour long for some fucking reason, because we had no life. And we would set goals and be like, I want to have X amount of kills, and it was really gay, but I was always the best, and that game just holds such a spot in my heart. It is a phenomenal game. The campaign was awesome. I mean, opening up Pearl Harbor, dude. I mean, that's just awesome, you know? It was the only game that ever did Pearl Harbor like Pearl Harbor should have been done in a video game. It was cool. Definitely I still remember almost every part of the campaign to this day. I just have a lot of memories with that game. It's a fantastic game. To me, truly the last good Medal of Honor, which is a shame. The franchise kind of went downhill since then. Anyways, number 4, I had Jak 3. Holy shit, this franchise is just amazing. I mean, the first one is completely, almost opposite to the next 2. But, I mean, they were still connected in ways, but holy shit. This game just really brought everything about the Jak storyline and just, you know, ended it with a bang, and had an amazing amazing, absolutely amazing world. Like the second one took Jack to a more open world, and you know it was dark. You felt badass playing him. You could just fuck anything up by playing, you know, Dark Jack, and just, you know, having everybody come after you in the weapons and all that stuff. You just felt like a badass. And in this one, they just took it to the next level. Like, you felt like a badass in the world, and the graphics were just such a step up. You can go out in the desert and like go fucking dune buggy racing, and it was just, it's phenomenal. And it really it makes me, I almost want to buy a PlayStation 3 just to play those 3 games again. I mean, they're just phenomenal. I wish they would bring back this franchise. I really, really do, because it's a killer franchise. One of the best.
Alright. My number 4 is the first Kingdom Hearts. So this one, the reason I picked this one instead of like 2, and I guess Rechain of Memories, which were the only main console ones, is because this one had, at least in my eyes, a little bit of a darker tone compared to the other 2. It was like, at least like with the music and the atmosphere of the second and Chain of Memories, it just wasn't there. This game was very dark in a way, whereas there's lots of talk about, you know, the darkness and people giving into, you know, the darkness in their hearts and whatnot. And it was just a great game. And not only that, I mean, it was, you know, it's Final Fantasy and Disney, which is like one of my favorite things now, which was one of my favorite things as a kid. So I mean, that just naturally fits together, and it kind of holds a special place in my heart as one of my favorite series ever. And I mean, gameplay was all like, you know, it was all sword play with like magic. So again, it's very Final Fantasy based. It was open world, so you could go back to, you know, any of the worlds, and the story was so in depth. I've easily played this game 3 or 4 times, and there's that one boss fight against Riku the second time. Like, it's always a bitch to beat, because he's always like, you always have to be like 10 levels above where you are. Like, you're supposed to be like level 28, and you have to be like at least level 40 in order to beat him. Like, without like even soundly. Like, even then, you can beat him at the early levels, but you will cuss and just, you will basically not want to play the game after that one. You'll be like, you know what, fuck this game. But overall, it was probably, I mean, it's a great game.
Number 4 is because, I mean, I have it on my list because it's enjoyable, but have it so far down on my list because, you know, to a point it's not enjoyable. But Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, I mean, I'm sure everyone's put or a lot of people put countless hours into that game. You know, monotonous gameplay, just, you know, starting, you know, turning it on, playing it, going around killing people, and just turning it off, not even saving it, just so you can go back to that point whenever you're bored and just monkey around the whole time, and like, you know, steal cars you can drive, like alternate reality or whatever, you know, like in real life you can't run out and shoot people and take their cars, and if you're like 13 you can't drive yet, but in the game you can drive, and you know, you can like ramp off of things, and there's like a lot of stuff to do, but you know, it's really monotonous. But it is fun for what it was. I mean, there's a lot of hours you put into it and stuff. My number 3 was the game, or I guess maybe the whole franchise, just because I can't really pick a singular game. But Ape Escape, I'm pretty sure it was just for PlayStation 1. I know there's a couple games for it, but if you've never heard of this franchise, then you probably came along and started playing video games like PlayStation 2 and PlayStation 3. If you play PlayStation 1, I'm pretty sure you played this game. Because, you know, nowadays you never hear of it, but back then it was a cool game. It's basically you run around, you try to catch monkeys, and you get different items to do it with. It was one of those old-fashioned games that's all my style. It's not competitive, it's not like, you know, storyline. It's nothing like Halo or Call of Duty where it's like a storyline. It's competitive and you can go in and do different gameplay things and whatnot. It's like, the most basic of basic games, and you know, well, it's not as basic as like Pong, but basic enough where it's just plain good old fashioned fun, and yeah, that's all the confetti.
Okay. My number 3 was, as Sam said a little bit earlier, is Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. In my opinion, the best of the Grand Theft Auto series. I haven't really been able to get into as much any Grand Theft Auto after this as I have with this game. I've put countless hours into this game, and it was one of the early like enjoyable like open world games that I played. Like you go around and do whatever you want. You can play the story, and there's so much potential to the game too. It might have been a mod or anything or something on the PC, but you know there was the whole thing where there was supposed to be Bigfoot in the game or whatever. And I've seen maybe mods on the computer where there is, but you know there was a huge thing that was supposed to be in there. Apparently there was like aliens or something in there. And one of the coolest things was I saw the entire original Halloween 2, the movie, and some guy on YouTube completely took it and he remade the entire movie, almost shot for shot, using Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. So I mean, there's just countless hours, as Sam already said, of whimsical entertainment that has nothing to do with things you couldn't do in real life. So, you know, that's why I put this game in number 3.
I tried playing, you know, to find Bigfoot, like I know what he's talking about, but I played it for like hours and hours, going to the spot where like bottom left of the map there's like a foot shape in the map where Bigfoot's supposed to be out in like the woods, and I had like I played for hours, mindless hours, I could never find him. But apparently there's some mission or something, I think it was just PC or something like that.
Yeah, apparently there are videos, but
Yeah.
and then they didn't, you know, actually put a Bigfoot in it until Red Dead Redemption. So
Number 3, I had Spyro 2 Bricto's Rage for PlayStation 1. Oh man, I explored every single nook and cranny of this game. I beat the living shit out of it. I would beat the living shit out of it, and then I would start over and beat the living shit out of it again. And then I would start over and beat the living shit out of it again. It's kind of like that CD or cassette that you just keep playing until it almost doesn't work anymore. That was my Spyro game. I couldn't really get into the first one a lot. I mean, I got far in it, but I couldn't get into it. I love the second one the most, which, you know, obviously why it's on my list. I love the third one too, but the second one really just, the whole world, the gameplay was just so awesome, and you know, you felt cool being Spyro. Like, it was awesome, you know, being him, and then that epic boss battle at the end. I mean, that was just fucking awesome. I still remember that, like, crystal clear. You know, that's just, Spyro 2's Bricto's Rage, man. That's where it's at. Number 2, I had Ratchet and Clank Up Your Arsenal. Holy shit. When it comes to franchises that I just absolutely adore, Ratchet and Clank is just way up there. I love this franchise to death. To me, it's one of the most creative, inventive, and fun franchises out there. I mean, the weapons you get are just absolutely ridiculous. The story in this one was good. The graphics at the time were just phenomenal. The final boss fight was insane, and then you could play through it again and just keep upgrading your weapons and get them to be even more ridiculous, and there was so much depth to this game, and it was crazy. The cover art was beautiful in my opinion. I stared at the cover art for I jerked off to it. It was awesome. I mean, just Ratchet and Clank are just two of gaming's best characters in my opinion. I mean, they're so lovable and enjoyable, and they're different. They're fun to be, you know, fun to play as, and it's just, I love this game. Just like I said about Spyro, I beat the living shit out of this game. This is by far the best Ratchet and Clank game. I mean, I played Every single one, Deadlock, the first two, and A Total Destruction on the PlayStation 3. I mean, they were all fantastic, but this one was just, this is the one that the light shines on. It is, complete gold. So I love it.
My number 2 is God of War 2. So the reason I picked this over like the first one is, everything that they did in the first one was upped like to the next level. The boss fights were bigger, the story was bigger, everything was just 10 times bigger. Kratos continuing his path to redemption, and it's just everything that you would want out of a God of War game, and a little bit more. And I mean, it has probably 2 of my favorite moments in the series and in gaming at all, which is the kind of the fight with Zeus that you have in God of War 2, and then the ending when you're riding on the back of Gaia, like climbing up Mount Olympus. That is one of the most epic things I've ever seen in a video game. And that's like for the PlayStation 2, so I mean...
How the game opens, too, is just fucking ridiculous.
Yeah. And then, like, you're, fighting all the gods, and so you're slowly, cheerfully... And you do more in the next one, but you slowly but surely end up killing them all. And so, I mean, that just... It's a great concept and a great story. So, yeah. She's done taking a swig.
Strongly dislike it. I don't hate it. Hating's wrong. My number 2 game, PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, is Spyro 2, Ripley's Raids, like Tyler said. It was all around a cool game. Like, it's definitely my style of game. Just basic, playing through a game, having it be an adventure, nothing like too hard. Just plain fun. The game is all about like fun, not really like having many challenges. Like, yeah, some of the boss battles and stuff were like, yeah, I might have to try a couple times at it, but like overall, it was just an entirely fun game. Like, the game was just based around fun and nothing too like impossible. It's basically a game for kids, and it was just like, at the time I got so much enjoyment out of it. But it's a lot of what Tyler said. There were some like stupid things in the game where you had to get enough orbs to go somewhere, or you had to give money bags all your gems that you just collected because the jerk and all that stuff. But as a kid I was like, oh, I hate money bags. But it's just a fun game. There's nothing like too challenging about it. It's just a classic. My number 1 game is really surprising to me, but it's the game I've definitely played most. I still play it to this day sometimes. It's the most unexpected number 1 game. NCAA football 2007. Not even a new one. Not even like 2008, 2009, not even like 2010. No, 2007. Because at the time, back in the day, which was a Wednesday, by the way, I bought NCAA football 2007. And since then, I've played through so many seasons in the Dynasty. My Cincinnati Bearcats are undefeated. Well, actually defeated twice, just because I wanted to make the seasons more interesting. But I would always beat West Virginia, and it's just not fair to them. So they ended up losing the championship anyway, which was really stupid. But I'm basically undefeated. I have the best team. It's just fun playing through every season. Like, sometimes I'll have like 2 different coaches, one for the Cincinnati Bearcats because they're like my favorite team, and another one right now I'm going through with Oklahoma State Cowboys. We're doing alright. But yeah, it's just a game that I've played a lot, and it's probably my favorite. Even to this day, I'll just be bored and I'll head up to my room and like, why don't I just play a game? And I win. Sometimes I'll like, I have it on like Heisman setting. I still end up winning all the time.
So that's how you practice Madden.
I suck at Madden, to be honest. These new Madden games, there's so many different like controls and like those games. That's the best thing about the NCAA game is like, it's just basic, you know. You run, like, you can juke, you can like spin, you know all the controls, like you know how everything works. Like I'm like not up to date with all these new Madden games, like how you have to like hit the button at a certain time to like break a tackle, and I'm not used to it. I haven't adapted. I always play those old games where, you know, it's like R1 is juke, L1 is juke, R2 is you know, toss the ball to the guy behind you. Yeah. Unexpected, but yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. I think I had NCAA 2008. I played the shit.
I like the graphics of the
The
NCAA
Dynasty
football
one,
games a
man.
lot more than the Madden games for PlayStation 2.
I was Notre Dame in 2008, and I was #1.
I've
My
been number
Dynasty.
one for like 9 Dynasty years.
Oh, fuck.
I get the #1 bowl championship nearly every year.
Alright, so
Are you gonna start?
am I gonna start? Sure.
Mr.
Uh,
I have all the
yeah.
championships.
My I've never played it. Well, except for Madden, I don't think I've really ever played like any football
I
games.
have more championships than you.
Okay. But well, my #1, you probably take a wild guess, is Final Fantasy VII.
How do you call it that?
You did. And a lot of people will be like, oh yeah, this, you know, of course, this game kind of deserves it. And then the other half of everybody will be like, oh, you know, of course, this game, everybody puts this game on the top. But if you dissect the game, this is what, like, why, you know, open world RPGs are the games that they are today. I mean, if it wasn't for this game, because this was the first Final Fantasy released for the PlayStation. It was for the original one. People would have went back and played games like Final Fantasy VI and 3, which are honestly probably better games, but Final Fantasy VII is just more memorable. The story was great. Had the first game that I felt compelled to finish. Like I was involved in the story. I was compelled to keep playing it. And then another complaint is people always go like, yeah, the last boss fight's easy because, you know, when you get attacked, there's automatic counter move, and no matter what, Sephiroth dies with one hit. And I'm like, well, yeah, but it's not supposed to be a difficult thing. It's the symbology behind it that makes that boss fight so epic, and it just makes the story epic. I mean, you look at it. There's been like 2 or 3 prequel games, a game after it. They made a movie to go after it. Like there's just, and then there's talks of a remake. There's talks of making a movie about it. There's like a live action movie. There's just like this game. Like I don't understand how you almost couldn't think that this is the best game. Like again, I mean, if you don't like it, that's your thing. But I mean, I don't understand it because this game is so influential to just how games are today. Period. I mean. At least in my eyes, it has to be #1. It's okay.
9
You're missing
championships.
Did you cry?
A little bit. Maybe a little bit.
So what's my #1?
That's a good question.
You probably guess.
Got it.
No.
No. Ratchet and Clank.
No.
Oh, I know what it is. It's a Crash Team Racing.
Yes, it is.
Dude, I forgot Red Dead Revolver.
Wow.
Shout out to Red Dead Revolver.
Yeah, so I had Crash Team Racing. I mean, holy shit. There's no racing game like it. I thought I was really, really good at this game, and then I played Reggie Watts, and I realized that I suck. So, yeah, I mean, this game, just, it's so fun. Like, yeah, you're racing, it's competitive, but it's competitive in a fun way, not a way that you'll be cussing at your Xbox like in Call of Duty or some shit. You going, what the fuck? You know? But it's just, this is such a fun fucking game. The tracks are amazing. The moves and just the kind of like the unexpectedness with each race. It's just, it is awesome. I mean, this is just, and there's so much to it. There's so much during there's not much of a story to it, but the story mode, there's so much depth to this story mode. I mean, it takes a while to beat. I beat the shit out of it. And, you know, there's time trials and arcades and all kinds of shit. I mean, tournaments. I don't know besides maybe a Pokemon game, I honestly do not know if there's another game that I put as much time into as this game. I mean, this game just has it all. There's no game that is more fun than this. I still have my copy sitting over there, and I will never get rid of it. And if anybody steals it, I will find them and murder them.
I'm gonna steal it.
I'm gonna kill you when this camera goes off. I want to give shout outs to my boys in Sly Cooper 2, God of War, Time Splitters Future Perfect. Have any of you guys played that game?
Yeah.
It's a great game. Yeah. That's our list.
Yep.